Hi, my name is Anthony from Intuit's Lacerte. In this video presentation, we will be reviewing how to input depreciation in the Lacerte tax program. First, from the Clients tab, you'll want to click into the client file. If the depreciation asset you want to enter ties to a related schedule or form, like a Schedule C, E, or F, for example, you'll want to first make inputs for that to be able to tie your depreciation back to it. Under the Deductions category, we will then click on Screen 22 for depreciation. The first thing you'll notice is the commercial property is in a black font color. This means this asset info was entered in a previous tax year and was pro-forma'd or transferred forward. Where inputs in blue are new entries that were entered this year or changed this year. Lacerte has the ability to transfer assets forward each year, and it will keep track of prior depreciation taken. At the top of the screen is the Quick Entry grid, which will have common input options needed to enter a depreciation asset. The first field is the description of property, then the form you want to tie this specific asset to. The activity name or number is if you have more than one for that form. It allows you to tie it to that specific one. The category is used on your depreciation schedule, which will help with sorting them together. The remaining fields are date placed in service, cost or basis, current Section 179, and method. To get additional information on a field, you can click on the Help tab in the bottom left corner. This will show article links to common questions, as well as specific information on the field you have selected. Click Hide to lower the help pane. You can also click the F1 key on your keyboard, which is really helpful for the method box. Here we see examples of what method can be used for certain asset types. This is the same information from the Help pane, but can also be printed. Let's now review the left navigation pane. At the top left you will see Show Assets For. Currently all is selected. Selecting Schedule C will limit our view to just the assets tied to a Schedule C. We can expand this further to show all assets tied to a specific Schedule C. One common issue is if you accidentally click on a field here, you'll want to then click on All again to see your full list of assets. In the next section, you can click on an asset to jump to the inputs for that asset. You can then click on the Related section to jump to that section to input data for that specific asset. At the top of the list of assets, you will see a blue hyperlink for Miscellaneous Section 179 overrides. We will click this link to view that screen. Whenever you see the letter O in brackets to the right of an input field, this means that this is for an override and will override the program's automatic calculation. Let's now review some common input fields on this screen. First, I will click back on the commercial asset. Then let's hide the Quick Entry grid at the top by clicking the following horizontal line button on the menu bar so we can view more of each section. The first section is the Depreciation 4562 section, where you can enter the description of property. As you'll notice, this is the same data from the Quick Entry grid and can be entered here or on the grid, and they both update the other to match exactly. The next section is Federal Depreciation. Here you will see the inputs in black since they transferred over from a prior year's input. The program will automatically keep track of prior depreciation and amortization and adjust it each year. However, if you are entering a return for a new client and you didn't do their return in a previous year in Lacerte, you would then need to manually input your data in this section for any prior depreciation. Next is the Additional Information section. A common input field here is percentage of business use. An input is only needed here if the business percentage is less than 100%. Otherwise, this field can be left blank to calculate it at 100%. The program calculates depreciation by multiplying the cost or basis by the business use percentage to determine the maximum depreciable basis. Another common input section is general disposition information. If an asset is sold, disposed of, or retired, you can enter the date here along with the expense of sale if it applies. In the section right below it is Sale of Asset. You'll then want to enter the sales price. If there was no sales price, you can enter a -1 in the box. Lacerte does not recognize zeros in most fields, so to override or adjust an amount to be 0 or blank, you'll want to enter a -1 in a field. One additional field to note is under the section for additional disposition information. You could enter any federal or state income tax withheld if it applies. We can now click the horizontal line button on the menu bar at the top to bring back the quick entry grid into view. Let's now review the actual depreciation calculation so you can see how it flows and make any adjustments if needed. First, let's click on the third asset for the computer. Here you will notice the percentage of business use is 0.25. We also have a method of 54, which is Maker's 5-year straight line. Also note that we have not entered any Section 179 for this asset. Now that we have that information, let's click on the Forms tab at the top. On the Forms tab, under US, we will then click on the Depreciation Schedule for the current year. Here we can see the calculation for this asset. As mentioned previously, it will group assets by category. The current depreciation is $50 for this asset. To see how that is calculated, you'll want to follow the worksheet from left to right. The calculation will then be $4,000 times 25%. Since we entered 25% as the business use percentage, this totals out to $1,000. The next column is current section 179/SDA. SDA stands for Special Depreciation Allowance. We will take our $1,000 amount and subtract from what is in this column, and we are left with $500. To see how we then arrive at $50, you will have to reference the IRS publication 946 and then navigate to the depreciation table. Since this asset uses the straight line method with a 5-year recovery period, and it's in the first year of being depreciated, the amount listed for this method in its first year is 10%. $500 times 10% equals $50. Lacerte will automatically calculate the special depreciation allowance. However, we'll give a diagnostic that it can be suppressed if it does not apply. I will then show you where you can make your entry if you don't want special depreciation allowance to calculate. It is located on the depreciation screen under the section Federal Depreciation. You will see a box for special depreciation allowance, 1 equals yes, 2 equals no. I will enter a 2 into this box. Let's then click on the Forms tab, then click on our current year depreciation schedule. Here you'll notice the amount in the current Section 179 SDA column for this asset is now gone, and our current depreciation went from $50 to $100. This again is the calculation of $4,000 times 25%, which totals to $1,000. $1,000 times the 10% amount we got from our Pub 946 table then gives us this $100 that we see here. I hope you found this video presentation informative. You should now be able to input depreciation. Be sure to check out the Lacerte Training Center for additional training videos regarding program use and features. Thank you for watching.